22 News is following breaking news out of the Berkshires where a terror suspect has been arrested. Federal authorities say an Adams man was planning terrorist acts on behalf of ISIS. He's 23 years old. Feds say he had 4 guns delivered to him. 22 News is live in Adams starting at 5.
We continue to follow breaking news tonight of a Western Massachusetts man accused of planning terror attacks.
22 News working for you with live team coverage of his arrest. 22 News reporter Alessandra Martinez live in Adams where the suspect lived. But let's first start with Ryan Walsh live outside U.S. District Court in Springfield where the suspected terrorist will go before a federal judge.
22 News obtained a copy of the criminal complaint here and has information on how the FBI tracked this suspect for close to a year. This is 23-year-old Alexander Ciccolo of Adams. He's accused of wanting to fight for ISIS and carry out attacks against Americans. These are the guns that the FBI seized from him at his Adams home on July 4th. Court documents show that he wanted to fight for ISIS and use a pressure cooker bomb to attack a college cafeteria. On July 3rd, the criminal complaint stated that the FBI watched him buy a pressure cooker at Walmart in North Adams. The FBI used a cooperating witness and recorded conversations with him in Pittsfield and here in Springfield. The FBI also got a lot of information from his very own Facebook page. He was arrested on the 4th of July after he received 4 guns, including an assault rifle from that cooperating witness. Ciccolo is the estranged son of a Boston police captain who was one of the first responders at the Boston Marathon bombing event. Ciccolo also goes by the name Abu Ali Amriki. After his arrest, he was sent to the Franklin County House of Corrections. There he was undergoing a medical screening and stabbed a nurse in the head. Ciccolo is expected to be here at federal court tomorrow afternoon for a detention hearing. And our team coverage continues tonight. 22 News reporter Alessandra Martinez is live in Adams after she spoke with some neighbors who live close to this terror suspect.
That's right. This is the house on Murray Street here in Adams where Alexander Ciccolo lived and where he was arrested. And tonight we spoke with a couple neighbors who are still trying to deal with the realization that they lived so close to potential terrorists. A potential terrorist in Western Massachusetts caught.
It seemed like he was kind of a guy that kind of kept to himself, hidden all the time.
Alexander Ciccolo from Adams was arrested on the 4th of July, charged in connection with a planned terrorist attack on behalf of ISIL. 22 News spoke with Ciccolo's neighbor across the street.
It's a real shock that I heard that he had weapons and explosive making devices and other things like that to cause active terrorism in such a small little town of Adams, Massachusetts. It's a big scare, really. Big shock.
FBI agents came to Ciccolo's home here at 10 Murray Street and they found Molotov cocktails. Those are devices made of shredded pieces of styrofoam soaking in motor oil. According to a Department of Justice document, Ciccolo told a cooperating witness that the mixture would cause a fire and would stick to people's skin, making it harder to put out the flames. Neighbors told 22 News Adams is a tight-knit community, and they only saw Ciccolo come out of his house a few times this year. Another neighbor says a lot of kids live along these streets and pass by Ciccolo's house daily on the way to the bus stop.
I can guarantee you that they're going to have their kids by their hip, and some parents may not even let them come down the street because of what's going on. You know, yeah, we're glad he's out of the area, but when he was here, he still scared everybody.
3 people were seen on Monday going in and out of Ciccolo's apartment and refused to speak to our cameras. The Ciccolo family sent a statement saying, in part, while we are saddened and disappointed to learn of our son's intentions, we are grateful that authorities were able to prevent any loss of life or harm to others. Court documents say Ciccolo planned on planting explosives in places with lots of people, like a college cafeteria. 2 colleges are within 20 minutes of his home. Throughout the night, we've seen plenty of neighbors move up and down Murray Street and throughout the community exchanging information with one another. And Ciccolo is scheduled to be in U.S. District Court in Springfield tomorrow afternoon. Live in Adams tonight, Alessandra Martinez, 22 News.
22 News is continuing our coverage of terror suspect Alexander Ciccolo, the Western Massachusetts man accused of plotting terrorist attacks in support of ISIS. 22 News is working for you with live team coverage across the state. We begin with 22 News reporter Kate Walsh. She's live in Adams with reaction.
I'm live outside 10 Murray Street in Adams, where residents say Alexander Ciccolo lived and was arrested on the 4th of July. Some in this neighborhood described him as quiet and strange. Others in town are just glad he was arrested before he may have hurt someone.
It's certainly not how we wanted Adams to get on the map. Nobody knew where Adams was. Now they all know.
Nestled in the mountains of the Berkshires, the small town of Adams is known for its breathtaking scenery. But recently, it's also known as the town where a man suspected of plotting an ISIS-style terrorist attack lived at 10 Murray Street.
Maybe it's a cry for help. I mean, in this country anyway, you know.
Court documents released Monday revealed 23-year-old Alexander Ciccolo wanted to fight for ISIS and use a pressure cooker bomb to attack a college cafeteria. People in town were surprised to hear that, but they didn't think Adams was a planned ISIS target.
It can happen in any of our towns, anywhere across the United States. That's how I look at it.
Residents told 22 News shortly after the FBI raided this home and arrested Ciccolo on the 4th of July, rumors started spreading around town. But they didn't find out why the FBI was in Adams until Monday. According to Justice Department court documents, the FBI found weapons and partially made bombs in Ciccolo's apartment, located in the back of the house. We spoke with a woman who used to live in Ciccolo's neighborhood.
It is kind of scary. But they handled it well. They didn't tell anyone what was going on. They didn't raise all kinds of scare tactics on what everybody speculated what was going on. No one knew until the investigation was over.
She and other neighbors said they were grateful the FBI tracked and arrested Ciccolo before he could have acted on his alleged terrorist attack. We often hear of these so-called lone wolf terrorists acting in the name of Allah, but I spoke with a Muslim leader in Pittsfield this afternoon. You'll hear from him and what he has to say about that and Islamic radicalism on 22 News at 6 tonight. Live in Adams, Kate Walsh, 22 News.
The FBI began investigating Alexander Ciccolo after the suspect's father alerted the agency of his son's desire to join ISIS. 22 News reporter Julie McDonald is live in Boston after speaking with an expert about what motivates these lone wolf attacks.
Well, people were shocked to learn on Monday that this terror suspect is the son of a veteran Boston police officer. Two law enforcement officials told the Associated Press that Captain Robert Ciccolo went to the FBI last fall, concerned about his son's history of mental illness and also his interest in joining the Islamic State. Today, I sat down with a Bay State medical doctor to talk about how someone might become susceptible to this kind of radical ideology. He said the vast majority of these lone wolves, as they're known, don't necessarily have a psychiatric illness, but do feel isolated or angry at society. They find motivation and meaning in the ISIS mission that says they can make an impact and will be glorified.
You can be on the front page. I mean, you could do something that the world will notice. These movements offer them the possibility of power, of being in something larger than themselves, of giving them an identity.
Now, this is the second terror plot thwarted by Massachusetts law enforcement in just over a month's time. On 22 News at 6, I'll tell you what they have to do with the deadly attacks that happened right here at the marathon finish line 2 years ago. Live in Boston, I'm Julie McDonald for 22 News.
And who is Alexander Ciccolo? 22 News anchor Rich Tedemer has new information on the man the FBI has been tracking for the last 10 months.
23-year-old Alexander Ciccolo first came to the attention of the Western Massachusetts Joint Terrorism Task Force on September 11, 2014, when Ciccolo's father told the FBI that his son had a long history of mental illness and had expressed a desire to go overseas and fight for the Islamic State group. That's according to the criminal complaint unsealed on Monday. Sometime between last September and July 4th of this year, those plans changed. In court documents, the FBI said Ciccolo had talked with the cooperating witness in recorded conversations in June about killing civilians, police officers, and members of the U.S. military, but later said he wanted instead to attack a state university outside Massachusetts because more people would be there. On June 30th, according to the criminal complaint, Ciccolo had another meeting with the cooperating witness in Springfield, where he allegedly said he wanted to conduct the attack before Ramadan was over and no later than July 31st. The day before his arrest, FBI agents watched Ciccolo at the Walmart in North Adams, buying a pressure cooker similar to those used in the 2013 Boston Marathon bombings. He was arrested on July 4th and charged with illegal possession of a firearm for receiving 4 guns. His father, Robert Ciccolo, is a 27-year veteran of the Boston Police Force. His family has released a statement saying, "While we were saddened and disappointed to learn of our son's intentions, we're grateful that authorities were able to prevent any loss of life or harm to others." I'm Rich Teddemer, 22 News.
22 News continues our coverage tonight of the Alexander Ciccolo case. He's the Adams man accused of plotting a terror attack on a college campus. 22 News reporter Julie McDonald traveled to Rhode Island for an exclusive tour of the maximum security facility.
It was an alleged plot investigators believe could have been devastating. Alexander Ciccolo of Adams is accused of plotting an ISIS-inspired attack using a pressure cooker and several guns. He's being held here at Wyatt Detention Facility in Rhode Island. 22 News was granted exclusive access inside this facility to find out what life will be like for Ciccolo as he awaits his trial. Tucked beside Pawtucket, Rhode Island, in the small community of Central Falls, the maximum security Wyatt Detention Facility holds up to 770 New England detainees awaiting trial. When detainees arrive in the custody of the U.S. Marshals Service, they're booked and placed in a 72-hour lockdown to determine their placement into minimum, medium, or maximum security. Warden Dan Martin showed 22 News the dorm-style units where levels 1 through 3 are housed based on classification.
There are storage cabinets that they're given that they can store their items in. Obviously, they share the commode.
After meals and cell inspection, detainees can spend time in common areas, playing games, watching TV, or reporting to work. They can use these phones to make a daily 20-minute phone call. They have access to GED and substance abuse classes and can even participate in a barbershop program and earn their license. But these communal privileges aren't for everyone. Alexander Ciccolo is one of about 24 detainees placed in administrative segregation.
Now, those detainees are secured in their cells 23 hours a day. They're allowed 1 hour of recreation out a day. That's a separate housing unit, and that's for more high-profile detainees. Those are for detainees that have disciplinary action.
So detainees in administrative segregation are allowed many of the same services, but they must receive them in different ways. As for visitors, most detainees at Wyatt have about 2 a week. Their family members come and sit here, speaking to the detainee through a window by phone. But detainees kept in a segregated unit might only have 1 visit. Their family members would come to sit here at these monitors for a video visit. Security classifications are reviewed every month, and detainees who show progress might eventually be moved to a less restrictive group. Those in segregation must meet with a psychiatrist monthly and are more likely to stay within that classification based on their charges. And 22 News was the only Western Mass TV station in federal court in Springfield last week when we learned the U.S. Attorney's Office does anticipate filing more charges in this case. The next court date is the morning of December 9th. Live in Central Falls, Rhode Island, I'm Julie McDonald for 22 News.
Our other top story tonight, the man from Berkshire County accused of plotting an ISIS-inspired terror attack was not at federal court for a scheduled hearing this afternoon.
22 News reporter Alessandra Martinez is live at U.S. District Court in Springfield. She was in the courtroom for today's hearing.
That's right. Alexander Ciccolo was not in court today. His defense attorney, however, David Hoos, was in court. But the prosecution decided to take today's hearing as an opportunity to share what evidence they've been looking through and how far they are in reviewing the evidence presented in this case. Now, the prosecution said that they are also waiting on forensic reports from items taken from Ciccolo's home after he was arrested on the 4th of July of this year. They also said that they want to look at the phone records of Ciccolo's calls while he's been at the Wyatt Detention Facility in Rhode Island. Until all the evidence has been reviewed, they will not be pressing any additional charges. Ciccolo's attorney, David Hoos, says that the recent ISIS-inspired attacks in both Paris and San Bernardino will make this a difficult case for his client.
Obviously not helpful to defending a case like that. It's going to be very difficult to seat a jury.
Who says that Ciccolo is doing well for a 23-year-old who is incarcerated for the first time in his life. Another status hearing is scheduled on February 10th of 2016.